Greetings and salutations. I'm Christopher Platt, reporting for Your Black World News with an article from CNN. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and visit theblackbusinessschool.com to learn about financial literacy and how you can grow your business today. The police officer who killed Emantic Bradford Jr. at a Birmingham area mall on Thanksgiving night, quote, did not commit a crime and thus will not be criminally charged for his actions, end quote. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall said Tuesday. Marshall said that it was also his understanding that the FBI will not be initiating a civil rights case against the Hoover, Alabama officer. Benjamin Crump, the attorney for Bradford's family, in a statement called Marshall's determination, quote, outrageous and beyond comprehension, end quote, and said that the Attorney General had concluded that it was reasonable for a trained law enforcement officer to fatally shoot an innocent civilian, one whose only action was an attempt to help protect the public and whose only crime was being black. Bradford's parents also spoke to reporters about the decision. You think I'm going to let it go? Bradford's father asked reporters. As a black man, it's wrong. I want to know, if that was your child, would you consider this justice? His mother asked. You shoot my child 3 times, and y'all call that justice? The officer who killed Bradford is in the process of returning to work, Hoover Mayor Frank Brocato said Wednesday, adding that the city will pay for his defense in any civil proceedings. We will defend our city, and we will defend our police officers, he told reporters. The Hoover officer is not being identified, he said, because he's being treated as a private citizen. If a private citizen were investigated and found not to have committed a crime, his or her name would not be released, Brocato said. We're glad it's over, but it's not over for the Bradford family. They lost a son, and we will never forget that, he said. The officer was working mall security Thanksgiving night when he killed Bradford after a shooting that left 2 people injured. Hoover police initially identified Bradford, 21, as the suspect, then recanted and said he brandished a weapon, only to recant that statement as well, saying Bradford was mistaken for an active shooter because he was holding a gun at the scene, which, quote, immediately heightened the sense of threat to approaching police officers, end quote. Witnesses have said Bradford, armed with a permitted weapon, was helping mall patrons when the officer shot him in the back, Crump said. Marshall also released surveillance video Tuesday of the November 22nd incident after showing it to Bradford's family. In the edited video, a crowd can be seen dispersing from apparent gunfire, with Bradford taking a few steps towards the shooting scene before he's shot by one of 2 officers approaching him from behind. What appears to be a gun slides on the ground in front of Bradford as he falls to his side, the video shows. You can't tell the story through the video, Brocato said. You have to look at all the facts. Marshall, in his report, said the officer identified Bradford as an immediate deadly threat to innocent civilians and thus shot Bradford to eliminate the threat. He called the officer's actions reasonable under the circumstances and were consistent with his training and nationally accepted standards for active shooter scenarios. The report quoted 2 unidentified witnesses as telling investigators the officers ordered Bradford to drop his weapon. Drop your weapon, sir. Put your weapon on the ground, one store employee told investigators she heard the officer say before he shot Bradford. Another employee told police she saw Bradford take a quote-unquote aggressive stance and heard an officer order him, literally 3 times, to drop his weapon before he was shot. In 2 statements from the officer, the first taken minutes after the shooting, the second a week later, the officer makes no mention of ordering Bradford to drop his weapon. I observed an armed suspect quickly moving towards the 2 males standing near the railing, the officer said in his second statement. The suspect was advancing on the 2 males and had a black handgun in his right hand. I fired my duty weapon at the armed suspect to stop him. The officer's actions did not constitute a crime under Alabama law and should not be presented to a grand jury for potential criminal prosecution, the Attorney General's report said. Crump called for the immediate release of the full, unedited surveillance video, noting that the officer admitted he provided no verbal warning. Brocato and City Attorney Philip Corley told reporters Wednesday they had handed all the video to the state attorney general, and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, neither of which is likely to release the footage because of the parallel investigation into the shooting that preceded Bradford's killing. Are we to accept that this is reasonable for our law enforcement officers to respond by acting on their innate biases? Crump asked. In this case, it looks very much like the officer's reasoning was black man plus gun equals shoot. He added, the decision to evade a grand jury mimics the darkest patterns of injustice woven throughout Alabama's sad history of race relations. From the beginning, this case has been riddled with dubious actions by officials. Crump accused the Attorney General of doing everything he can to exonerate the officer's inexcusable actions, trying to justify the officer's failure to follow proper procedures, and, more importantly, to ignore the civil rights of an innocent, law-abiding man who happened to be black. Dylan Nettles, policy analyst with the American Civil Liberties Union of Alabama, said the group is reviewing the report to determine how to proceed. The Attorney General's characterization of E.J. Bradford as a threat that needed eliminating reveals how little regard the Attorney General has for the life of this black man, Nettles said. Police officers need to be held accountable when they shoot and kill innocent people. Hoover police initially said Bradford shot Brian Wilson, 18, in the suburban mall, and that an officer killed Bradford as he fled. Molly Davis, 12, also was shot, police said, adding it wasn't clear by whom. Police later changed the story, saying witnesses and forensic tests indicated that while Bradford may have been involved in an altercation, he likely did not fire the rounds that injured the victims. His family has said Bradford was not at the mall with any of the victims or the suspect. He went there with his cousin and 2 friends, and possessing a permit to carry a weapon, pulled out his gun after the shooting began. He was helping people escape danger when he was killed, the family said. Aaron Brown, 20, was arrested days later in Georgia and charged with attempted murder in Wilson's shooting, police said. Brown's attorney has said video will clear his client. No charges have been filed in the shooting of the 12-year-old. The officer who shot Bradford was on paid administrative leave pending the state investigation. Hoover police are also conducting an internal investigation that will likely take 30 days. The family has said its independent medical review showed Bradford had been shot 3 times in the back. The bullets struck him beneath his ear, at the base of his neck, and just above his buttocks, Crump said. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to share this video and let us know what you think. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Your Black World YouTube channel and visit theblackbusinessschool.com today. I'm Christopher Platt reporting. Until next time, shalom.